just settle into a seat that feels super supportive. And we'll take some nice, deep, full breaths here. Maybe you let the eyes close. There's this very wealthy woman who has this beautiful courtyard garden. And this courtyard is massive. It is acres and acres and acres of area. And she is very excited because today is the day, a day she's been waiting for this very special, very delicate, and very rare lily is being delivered. About how subtle tweaks in the torso positioning can impact where your body is able to soften. Give ourselves about 30 more seconds here. Just finding our way to center. When it feels appropriate for you, we'll let the eyes open if they are closed. And we'll inhale our hands together at heart center. So thinking about getting the torso vertical and just feeling the subtlest amount of engagement at the hands here. Let's take a big full inhale. And then with the exhale, we're going to twist to the left. So as you're exhaling out, you're just rotating the entirety of the torso to the left. Try to keep the hands aligned at heart center there. You may feel some restrictiveness, and then when it's time to inhale again, we'll just come back to neutral. Fully release and feel your body settle in, and then we'll take that subsequent inhale, and we're going to turn towards the right as we exhale. When it's time to inhale again, we return to center. And you exhale. Feel the body settle there. We'll inhale in. And then we're turning to the left. As you're turning now, start to think about how the opposing shoulder can impact the rotation. And you'll inhale back to neutral. And then exhale and land. As you inhale in, feel the lungs fill. And then we'll exhale over to the right. Think about what the left shoulder can do to be impactful here in this rotation. And we'll inhale back to neutral. And just exhale in, fully land and settle. Let's take a big inhale in. And this time we're just going to exhale into a forward fold. And as you settle into your fold here, we're going to pause here so you can cycle a few rounds of breath. Think about where the body is elongating from. Generally, we pull enough of the soft tissue restrictiveness out. Unless you have really tight hips, then we can feel some soft tissue restriction. But as we tilt the torso forward without the hamstring requirement, we can maybe start to feel what's going on a little bit more intently in the spine. And we'll give ourselves just about another 20 seconds here. it feels appropriate for you, let's bring ourselves back up. So vertical. And we'll transition to hands and knees tabletop. So as you settle into your tabletop, fingers splayed. If you happen to be in practice last week, in the balance practice, we were really pressing into the hands. But think about that same energy of pressing into the hands and activating the shoulders. And we're going to keep that shoulder energy as we start to sway the hips a little bit. The more energy here you can keep in the shoulders, the more stability we have in the thoracic spine, particularly around that shoulder girdle. And the more space then that we have to make available in the body, not the more ability to move. We're restricting our movement by anchoring stability. But that means that we need to create more space to move within ourselves. Maybe one more time in each direction. And then we'll come back to neutral. And let's just exhale out and push the middle of the back towards the ceiling. And inhale and drop the belly, lift the tailbone, lift the chin. Exhale out, round the back, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. And inhale, drop the belly, lift the chin, lift the tailbone. Just move through these spinal articulations at your own rate and pace here. You can play with that shoulder stability as you're cycling through, and you can feel the restrictiveness as you bring in more musculature engagement, more tension within the musculature system. We stabilize the body and we create restriction. But as you're doing that, you then can feel how and where you need to build space, how you're building space and where you most need to build space. So play with shoulder tension, maybe in core engagement, core tension as you move here. Let's do 2 more times in each direction. No rush to complete these cycles. Let your body fully experience each end range of motion. And then when you are complete, when you've made it through 2 cycles in each direction, just bring the spine back to neutral and let's sink our way back into child's pose. Settling into your child's pose and just asking yourself where you're feeling the most sensation in the body. Where this wealthy woman was feeling her sensation was in her excitement. She had been waiting for years to get a hold of these lilies. And when this carriage pulled up, the lilies were in this wooden planter. And the very first moment she saw them, she just fell in love. They were just breathtaking. And she knew exactly where in her courtyard these were going to go. There was this little wooded foresty area that would provide the perfect dappling of light. And also the tranquility of space that she wanted to experience these flowers within. We'll give ourselves just 15 more seconds here. And when it feels appropriate for you, let's pull ourselves forward to hands and knees tabletop and we'll extend our legs out in front of us. Find a little staff. We're going to grab our blanket or towel props, both of them. And we're just going to fold both of them from shelf fold, one fold to hot dog fold. The way we're going to use these is going to be a little bit dependent on your torso geometry. So both blankets are going to come behind us. How this ends up being utilized is going to be different just depending on how our torso sits. If you know you have a longer torso than your blanket prop, you can take the top blanket and just fold that in top so that we can, or you can push that beyond top so that you can fold this to just allow some equivalent headrest. Essentially, we're looking for a nice big bolster-esque shape for our spine. We're going to bump our sacrum up against that and lower ourselves down. When you get here, if you notice that your head just feels like it's a little bit uncomfortable, very easy to just move that top blanket and then lower yourself down once again, and then you can adjust that top blanket or towel so that it becomes an equivalent headrest to benefit you. Noting here that you don't necessarily need the headrest, right? If you feel comfortable with the head hanging off, the cervical spine getting that adjustment, you're welcome to do that. It's just that most of us really feel uncomfortable when the head gets below the torso when we're horizontal like this. So just adjusting your props so that they ideally suit you this morning. And then just settling. One key note before I get quiet is if the dual blanket or dual prop feels like it's too much, if the low back bend just feels like it's too intense this morning, pull that second blanket off and just use the one. And that is true through the duration of our time in this shape. So if at any point it feels like it's too much, just reduce the height of your prop. Let's just get nice and released here. Think about the linear lengthening that's happening in the spine. As the wealthy owner of this land took these flowers into her hands for the first time. She wept, not only at how beautiful they were, but at how delicate they were. She put her nose into one of the flower cones to smell them, and the petals just fell away. And so she immediately knew that these flowers would need special protection. And she had been thinking about this when she placed this order. These flowers were incredibly expensive. It wasn't just that it took years to get them, they were also incredibly valuable. And so she had been thinking about this sentry, this guard, this particular guard that she had known, that she had grown up with her whole life, and who was regarded as the best protector in all of the land. And so she reached out to the sentry and she made an offer he couldn't refuse. He found it funny that his immeasurable talents were going to be used to guard a small section of flowers, but the pay was good. And it sure sounded like a better job than some of the other things he'd been asked to do. Give ourselves about 90 more seconds here. Check back in with the expansiveness of the spine. Note any areas that are offering sensation and ensure that any sensation you're receiving isn't causing your body to fight against the shape. If it is, remember that you can lower the prop, although we're only here for another 15 seconds. And when it feels appropriate for you, we're going to bend both of our knees and let the knees fall over to the left. So, unique transition here. We're going to work our way onto our belly. So, right hand's going to come down and just help us lift up. And then we'll adjust our propping so that we can lower a rotated torso straight down onto the prop waiting for us. Keep the knees in a position that feels comfortable for you, whether that's stacked or fanned. And think about how the left hip placement allows for full lumbar rotation. So you may want to end up lifting that left hip and kicking it just subtly further to the left. The goal here is to find a space where we can land in this rotation. So we went lumbar length, now we're going lumbar lengthening in rotation. And we're just going to settle into our breath here. Just because this job wasn't as gritty as some of the other jobs that this guard had been involved in, he took it equally as serious. He strapped on his full suit, including these boots with these huge spikes, and armor on the arms and torso, and he carried a huge sword. And he ensured this old friend of his, now this client of his, that nothing would happen to these flowers. Never on his watch. And as darkness fell on the first night of these flowers being in this woman's courtyard, each remaining petal kind of almost radiated this luminescence under the moonlight. And this guard and all of his gear set out a perimeter just like he would do at any other job. And he walked the perimeter around these flowers, ensuring that nothing could possibly damage them. We'll give ourselves about 60 more seconds here. And when it feels appropriate for you, let's press ourselves back up into seat. We'll rotate our torso back into staff. And as you settle into staff, really think about how any asymmetry in the body feels. And then we're going to take ourselves into a little forward fold and kind of dual purpose here. Feel into the asymmetry a bit and unwind, rebalance any asymmetry. Give ourselves 60 more seconds here. When it feels appropriate for you, let's bring ourselves back into staff and we'll bend both knees, let them fall to the right. Torso turns and we'll settle into our rotation side 2. Remembering that you have that opportunity to lift the hips and subtly scoot them to the right if you want to find just a little bit more rotation, or if that feels like it allows you to find a little bit more rotation. As the sun rose the next morning, this very sophisticated guard was shocked. One of the plants, one of the flowers on the end of the row, looks like it had some damage. It was hard to tell, but he sat down and he wrote up a report. And he brought the report to the owner of the house. And she came out to inspect it. She looked at this flower and it didn't look as happy as the other flowers. She was like, maybe it's just a little stress from being replanted. It's possible that maybe a rabbit got to it. And when he heard that, he snapped upright. And he was like, there's no way a rabbit got to it. I was here all night. And he apologized profusely. And she was like, it's okay, it's okay. But he vowed from that moment that No thing big or small would ever disturb these flowers again. If there are ways that you can settle or deepen, think about tweaks and adjustments you can make here to maximize the benefit of your shape. About 120 more seconds here. So that night, as the sun started to settle, and the guard took up his post, he had a heightened level of awareness. Almost an agitated quality to his energy. His movements were sharper, they were faster. His eyes were flickering from shadows in the bushes surrounding the flowers. Any movement he heard, he would rush into, sword drawn.
But throughout the course of the night, no matter how many sounds he charged after, no matter how many shadows he chased, he didn't find anything trying to get near these flowers. When it feels appropriate for you, hands press into the mat. We'll press ourselves up and rotate our torso back to staff. As the body comes back into a neutral spinal alignment, let the spinal fluid settle. Think about the keeping the three sections of the spine perpendicular or stacked. And then let's find our way forward into a fold. We'll be here for 60 seconds. And when it feels appropriate for you, let's bring our spine back to vertical. We can move those props out from underneath us. You may want to have them handy so you can keep them nearby. And then we are going to lower ourselves onto our spine. And as we settle here, pay particular attention to how the lumbar is responding to the neutrality of the mat. And when it feels appropriate for you, we're going to heel to our feet out to the width of the mat so that the lateral edges of the feet are bumping up against the lateral edges of your mat. If you want to go a little beyond that, you're welcome to. And then with an exhale, let's let both knees fall to the left. So the knees fall to the left with the feet wide. The right knee should be pointed or near the arch of the left foot, roughly pointing to or near. And then we'll bring ourselves back to neutral and exhale over to the right. And opposite here, left knee should be pointing or near the arch of the right foot. And back to neutral. And exhale over to the left. Inhale to neutral. And exhale over to the right. And just move here with your breath. Inhales to neutral. Feel the neutrality, and then exhale to the opposite side. The next time that the knees fall to the left, let's let them settle there. If the right leg doesn't feel like it's supported here, you have those props nearby. You can place a blanket underneath the right knee so that you have a little support. And you could do that the same to the left. If the rotation to the left doesn't feel like it's landing flat, you could use that other prop to prop that side up. Just utilize your props to support you here. So the next morning, the sun rose. The guardian of these flowers was horrified to see that the flower on the end, the one that hadn't looked quite perfect the night before, had clearly been trampled. And there was like a very weird footprint, like a hoof type amalgamation next to this trampling. And this guardian could not believe he missed something this large. Could not believe that he had let his friend and employer down. But there was undeniable proof this flower had been trampled into the mud. And a very weird print had been left, a print that this guard had never seen before. And his mind started to race about what type of creature this possibly could have been. He wrote up the report. He brought out the owner of the property and she inspected things. She was sad, but she thought that the roots of the plant were healthy and that it would likely come back, even after being trampled. When it feels appropriate for you, let's bring our knees back to neutral. And we'll let the knees fall together here so that we rebalance once again. Feet should still be at that width of your mat. Breath should be landing you with each exhale. And then when it feels appropriate, let's bring the knees back out to the width of the mat. We'll let the knees fall over to the second side, the right side. Once again, you can use a prop to assist the left knee if that doesn't settle fully, and you can do the same thing with the right. So So during the day, this woman comes out and she appreciates this section under this shaded area in her courtyard, and she admires the flowers. But when night falls, the guard is back. And if he was on edge the night before, he's beyond the edge tonight. This strange hoof-like footprint that trampled the flowers is something he's never seen before. And he starts wondering if it's some type of supernatural being, a beast. And his mind starts racing into all kinds of possibilities as he sets his perimeter. And as he responds even more wildly now to any noise, any shadow. Now he knows he's dealing with something, but he doesn't know what it is. So he has taken the aggression to the maximum level. He's also very cleverly laid a smooth powder of clay around the area where the flowers are. He wants to ensure that anything that gets to the flowers leaves a perfect print so that he can track which direction it came from, which direction it's going, and maybe identify what it is. When it feels appropriate for you, let's bring our knees back to neutral. We'll once again let the knees fall in to reset. And as you're here, just think through the sections of your body. Ask yourself if there's anything that you might want, that you might need, that you might benefit from prior to Shavasana. And if there is anything, let's offer that to our body now. If you have everything you want, if you're ready for some stillness, and let's find a shape where we could fully and deeply appreciate Shavasana. So that night, every sound, every movement is responded to with the fullest and deepest sense of urgency. And this guardian rushes around in and out of the woods. But again, he never encounters anything. Just finding your version of stillness here.
sun rises the next morning. The guardian sees that all but one flower has been trampled in the night. Dejectedly, he goes and inspects the clay circle he's made around this flower bed. And he sees this print very clearly now. It is a boot and a spike. And he matches his foot up against the footprint, and it is his own. Over the course of these nights, he has been rushing in this direction and that, and has inadvertently trampled the very things he's been protecting. We'll start to bring some movement into our fingers and our toes. Into our wrists and our ankles. Elbows, knees, shoulders, hips. Neck, head, jaw, eyes, tongue. Eventually, the entirety of our body will move, and we'll utilize that movement to transition our way into a seat. In the seated space, spine gets tall, breath gets fluid, eyes closed. And with your next inhale, let's bring our hands together, heart center. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you remind yourself that too often the monsters we go to battle with are the shadows we are chasing? And see how that impacts your experience. Thank you so much for being a part of this morning's practice and for being you. Namaste.